Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. This is a little corner where I enjoy sharing my insights. And today I'm calling this meditation the Refined Thinner. And it's a play on words with the word sinner, which is not exactly what you think. And it's a modern take on a misinterpreted parable about getting through the eye of a needle. So stick around if you're interested in the refined thinner. Some of the greatest and most remarkable miracles occur in the land of minutia, if you will. This is a feeling of dialing in and tuning in so precisely that you can maneuver intricate passages in life like a pro. That the things that scare people make them run away, or they fall apart like a puddle. This is about becoming refined and so thin that you're aligned with the highest echelons of achievement, which, when executed, feel like no effort of your own. It is exactly like being squeezed through the eye of a needle, but because you've become such a focal point of the highest form of energy and light, that you can seem to do remarkable things with no effort at all. But this is not done haphazardly. This is not done without an incredible amount of preparation and understanding. So what I'm talking about are refined skills like speaking, think about like orthopedic surgery, really, really detailed focal work. I call it the miracle of minutia. It's like these incredible musicians that seem to just pick up and play. And there's just, wow. And they make it look like you could pick up that violin and play that Bach partita with just doodly-dee-dee-dee-doodly-dee-dee, and it looks like they're just doing nothing, right? But you have to understand what that feels like while you're doing it. It's that your mind has concentrated to such a small place that the body is trusted and you're responding to the moment. It's like being suspended in midair. And you understand why people do such crazy things like jump out of airplanes and walk on tight ropes and practice so hard for the Olympics. And why would we work our fingers so much to play intricate passages of music? Well, as a trained classical musician, I know what it's like to tackle tough, very intricate pieces of music. I'm tempted to go into my music room and bring a musical score and show you what a piece of music by Johann Sebastian Bach looks like. A treacherous, sticky piece of music. Just the music itself would scare people. It's like looking at, for me, it's like looking at calculus. That kind of refined thinking makes me run. Or if you've ever flown an airplane, you know, if you're flying on the instruments, just how refined it is. You're barely moving, but you have to work out the clunkiness, because technically you can't just hop in an airplane and, oh, look, we're flying. Or hop onto a complicated musical instrument and just let the fingers move like the wind. There's a great deal of trust and understanding that comes with that kind of detailed, refined focus. And it's like becoming so thin you can fit through the eye of a needle. And you are really living on the cusp of disaster. And you're not afraid of it. It's just like you become like you're dancing. It's ice skating. If you look at a really good ice skater, they make it look like you can put on a pair of skates and twirl around. And you want to experience that kind of exhilarating freedom, don't you? To execute such technical proficiency where the body is doing it itself and you are responding as everything is conspiring, and you're dancing on the precipice of it all falling apart. Because you know, in those really refined activities, it can just, boom, come apart. One conscious thought and the thing, whoosh, one effort and the thing, whoosh, one doubt, one thought, one contrived action, and the thing comes off the railroad tracks. Why do people aspire to do such dangerous things? Well, once you get a taste of what it's like to pass through that refinement, you'll long for it. There are passages of music by virtuosic composers such as, Vivaldi or Bach, or in the organ world, Vidor and Duruflé. And there are pieces like trio sonatas. Those of you who are classical musicians, you can back me up on this, that you have to pick it apart like brain surgery to get it all lined up, because the tempo is flying and everything's independent. And you tackle something like that very slowly, very methodically, very repetitively. But at a certain point, it has to play itself for it to work. Meaning, the conscious being that you think you are has to be so far into the background, so away from it all, and almost on a distant cloud, responding to it as the body does it itself. But you have technically prepared. I call those Hail Mary moments, where the music is so hairy and complicated and wiry that nobody would attempt to try to do it, because they'd fall on their face. But if you've ever successfully done something like that in the presence of other people, you're on cloud nine. You're in heaven. You have just passed through the eye of the needle in those moments where many people clutch onto the steering wheel. They will not allow it to conspire. But it takes such diligence and focus in the minutia. Now, here's the thing it's so interesting about that is that you are so thin, you are so far removed, yet incredibly present, that there is no difference between you and the music, or you and the ice skating, and you and the tightrope walking, or you and the gymnastics. So you see why people do this stuff. They rely on their skill. They've developed something. They've kept coming back to it. They kept refining it until the doer, the person, disappears. And so when you watch doing something at such a high level, you can't really see them anymore. It's kind of like going to those Broadway shows that use puppets and, like Avenue Q, and sometimes there are those shows. You don't see the actors. You kind of look at the puppets after a while. The actors, the ones who are animating, they disappear. I think that's interesting how people know how to disappear like that, become so thin you hardly notice them. That's because they are completely reliant on something they've developed. And so the Old Testament prophets are always talking about the refiner's fire. And Jesus was trying to talk about the precision of focus, that your intelligence allows you to get through these Hail Mary moments that so many people just collapse over. Let me tell you, when you're playing a trio sonata on the organ by Bach, who intentionally wrote them to make you crash and burn. I mean, these pieces of music are so cerebral, and they require such a refined motor skill that few people play them. I play 2 of the trio sonatas for the organ. And when things are going right and it's just there, I mean, you disappear. It's like what Billy Elliot said in that movie. I don't know. He says, they ask him, well, what does it feel like when you're dancing? He says, I don't know. I just disappear and I feel energy in my body. It's that disappearance that I'm trying to talk about. That's that thinner. Oh, that you could live that way. Disappear into the texture. But I'm trying to think of a parallel. Like, what do we prepare? How, like, if you prepare a piece of music, how do we do this with life so that we can trust everything? What's the technical? To do this with gymnastics or ice skating or writing or speaking. What is the notion of the individual disappearing? What have you prepared for? I know with musical training, you prepare the fingers and the feet and the body. How does one learn to trust everything? Especially those complex maneuvers. When nothing is going well, or it could come apart at any moment, where you're living on the cusp. You're always that way. And to many people, that's either exhilarating or they just collapse. They can't take it that anything could happen. But those who have learned to ride that razor's edge accomplish miracles in a minutia so many people are scared to death of. It's a precision kind of thing. A sinner is too fat, too clunky, too ignorant. That's all that is. It's not because you don't want to. It's a lot of us want to taste the rarefied air of being a refined, dialed in, tuned in, tapped in, riding the waves. But they haven't practiced. Let me tell you something. I worked with so many students in my career who wanted to be musical theater divas and top dogs. But they wouldn't practice. They wanted to be in the rarefied echelons of achievement without practicing. There's a practice here. You have to figure that out on your own. That you can perform complex things as if you're floating in outer space. As if it's as easy as twirling around on the ice. I would love to put on a pair of ice skates and twirl around on the ice, but I haven't put in the practice. What is the practice of refined living? Something about the disappearing. Something about absolute trust. Something about not interfering or trying to control it. Yes, I know it's complex, but it'll play itself. It'll dazzle you. If you learn how to get into those refiner echelons of dialed in, it's technical, it's easy, and it's effortless, but you have to build that in. You have to build in the ease. Now that means something. You build in the ease through daily practice of being easy. And when the hairy, tricky moments come, you keep your wits. If you're playing a tricky passage of music and you clamp down on it and you white knuckle on it and you say your Hail Marys and you're done. Effortlessness is not just, oh, it's so easy. There's some work put into it. There's a practice. And you never stop. But once you've experienced getting through that eye of a needle, once you've tasted it, you'll keep practicing forever. And that's how you become perfect. Practice makes perfect. Now, there will be some of you who don't know what I'm talking about. It's hard to make this very clear because this is about letting go, but it's not that easy to let go when you haven't practiced. My name is Ryan. Please check out my blog. It's called mymorningmotivator.com. And keep practicing with me. There's so much to discover about going through the eye of the needle. We'll see you next time.